As the clock strikes 7, the vibes are alive. Inner circles here, where voices thrive. Turn on your screens, let the magic unfold. Listening and healing as stories are told. Come on, come on, this is your time. No topics too tough, just heed the calls. From mental health woes to justice we seek. Together we rise for the strong and the meek. A safe space for all, let's lift every voice. In a circle podcast where hearts unite.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Inner Circle Podcast. Today is December 2nd, Tuesday, December 2nd is our regular segment. And tonight's topic is what has 2025 taught immigrants about resilience so far? As you all know, immigrants have been in the news like every day or something. Even today, my man said, here, Minneapolis, my man Peter says Chicago was hot, but that Minneapolis has been on fire these few days, right? Because we have a large contingent population of Somalian immigrants here in Minnesota. So it's been a hot topic, for them. It seems like, from Chicago to Charlotte, Los Angeles, LA, Portland, everywhere, right? It's like, and this whole 2025 immigrants has been through a lot, whether we are living a normal life, high inflationary environment. So that's just been a lot. So tonight is like, what has 2025 taught us about resilience, so far. So I'm your host, Abe Kamara, and I have my man here, Peterson. Little bit under the weather, but he made it through for us, for you guys, so we can have this great conversation. My man Peterson, man, welcome from the windy city of Chicago.
Hey, Abe, it's good to see you. Hope you had a good Thanksgiving. I haven't been on here for about a week. And this is Peterson from Chicago. Man, we got our first batch of snow or winter over the weekend. And over by where I live, we got a little over 12 inches.
Wow.
Yeah, just from, Saturday night to
Mhm.
Friday night to Saturday.
Yeah.
Yeah, it started late Friday night and then all through Saturday, it just snowed. So by the time it was said and done, we had over 12 inches. And then yesterday evening, a little bit more flurries came. And then overnight, we got a couple more inches added to that. So, but yeah, it's still good. The weather is in the 20s. But by Thursday, we're hearing that we're not going to break the teens. It's going to be like 17 or 18 around here. So,
Well, that's the Midwest, but everything you're explaining out there, the only difference is, right,
it's
in
our
these
way.
parts, yeah, in these parts, right, it's not that windy. And then second, we didn't get 12 inches, but again, right, like here for us in Minnesota, like Miss B and I said is even last night, it started snowing like Friday as well, right? Friday night, late Friday night, all this Saturday. But as Miss B and I said last night, like it doesn't stop Minnesota, right? If you're Minnesota, I don't think, even in Chicago, there, I don't think snow when you live in the
Oh,
Midwest,
yeah, yeah.
Midwest, snow and cold doesn't
Yeah,
stop anything. Life goes
yeah.
on. Folks go out. You
It
learn how
sure
to
doesn't.
navigate. You learn how to deal with it. It's
Yeah,
just part of the territory and things like that. Yes, but we had the same thing here, and then I said the Upper Midwest, the entire Upper Midwest. I mean,
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
sure Chicago
I have
also
some
was so.
colleagues from the Louisville, Kentucky area, and
Mhm.
yesterday they got some snow, and he's like, they set the record for the most snow, 4 inches, but the most snow ever on December 1st in that city's history.
Oh, whoa.
4 inches of
Four
snow.
inches. Yeah, it's like you're talking about getting 12 inches. Someone is saying
Yeah,
4 inches is the
four
highest ever,
inches is
right?
record. Yeah.
And in my neck of the woods, right, in my area, we got like 6 inches. Like
Okay.
in other areas got buried. 12, 15. I mean, inches and stuff like that. Obviously, your
Yeah.
areas are one of the area that got that. It's normal. Like even tomorrow, Thursday, we do have I think snow coming through on Thursday, and the same thing, right? It's gonna get really cold. You
Yeah.
know, Friday we are expecting sub-zeros in these spots.
Yeah. For
you know,
us, it's gonna be Thursday.
yeah, yeah.
And
So,
I mean, the weather or the seasons, they just change constantly because
mhm.
it's so unpredictable. I think last year here in the Chicago area, we didn't get snow until like way past New Year's.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
yeah, they go until then. But sometimes around Halloween it would be snowing, and other times like this year it came in pretty early. So
That's what it is, right? Yeah. I mean, to your point, last year, even last year, Minnesota for the first time in a long time, we hadn't got any snow, right? It's like
mhm.
the ski resort, all these snow, all these folks that rely on the snow to do
Yeah,
business, small businesses, they were so frustrated. And then if you live in these parts, it's like you expect snow every year, and
right.
the fact that it didn't come last year, a lot of folks were frustrated. But again, right, if you have a mild year like that, you must know this year might.
Yep.
This year, so we gotta brace ourselves. Basically, we gotta brace ourselves
Yeah.
this year. For huge, huge snowfall or huge storms. Coming through. Really, really cold weather coming
Mhm.
through for the upper Midwest. But that's that. Weather come with the territory, man. But thanks for bringing that. Man, before we get into the topic though, right, there's been some lot of things going on. As I said, it's like today the president, said he doesn't want Somalians in America, right? He wanted back, he wanted back in Somalia, and things like that. I mean, it's the president of the United States. Sometimes hearing that we are all immigrants, sometimes we gotta be in solidarity with one another. But man, what did you make of that though? Right? Such a statement from the president and and things like that.
Yeah. So with this current administration, it just seems like just when you think like, oh, okay, maybe there's a untouched group or there's one sector of the immigrant population that at least they're not being like tossed left and right,
Hmm.
then something happens and he just so this whole year is been about like mostly our neighbors from South America that
Hmm.
those are the ones that have been in the fire and then
Hmm.
a few days ago when that the National
Yeah.
Guardsmen in Washington D.C. when they got shot by the Afghan former Afghan national. Now he's like, okay, we're going to put a stop to every asylum
Yeah.
and everybody who's applying for asylum from Afghanistan or from the Middle East, and then now today with the recent uptake against Somali immigrants. And it's
Hmm.
when you hear something like that, usually it used to be like you would hear it or you would read about it in the news, but it would be from maybe just somebody in the government who's
Hmm.
feeling aggrieved towards certain people. But to
Yeah.
hear it from the president or from the office of the president of the United States, it, it carries weight. And like to this topic of resiliency, it's like, okay, we've seen it all, we've heard it all, and we just keep on pushing. So that shows the the character of immigrants. But I think it stirs out a lot of fear in people,
Hmm.
especially
Hmm.
when it comes from the highest office in the nation.
Yeah. And to your point, you brought up another point where I didn't kind of bring it up. I was just kind of maybe focusing on the Somalian angle, but I mean, after that Africa and our prayers are with with the family of the two National Guardsmen that was shot. The young girl, 20-year old young National Guard that lost her life, and the other dude that's still fighting for his life. We pray for him and his family. We hope he can recover. But such a thing, right? I mean, we live in a country of guns. Sometimes some of the things happen, and we look at the background of the individual that did the shooting. Say he was mentally ill. And
Yeah,
he has a military background. It's like we have said, you and I had a segment on here about veterans, right? When they come through, are they getting the mental help that they need, right? In time, I mean, because they struggle with some of the horrible things they see on battlefronts, right? I mean, I was even listening to a program today. They said that his unit, you know, actually did some horrible stuff, right? He witnessed some horrible stuff. So there's a person, I, to me, wherever they found themselves, they were suffering mentally, they could either harm themselves, and sometimes, cowards like that, right? Instead of them, I mean, no one should harm themselves or harm other people, right? Seek
right.
help. But it's just a reality of human beings. Some
It
folks say,
is.
hey, before I do something to myself, I might,
Mhm.
take it out on other people. And it's natural. And we live in a society. I mean, on this platform, many, many times we have said, I mean, the culture of guns is what leading. What if that dude never had, I mean, this person never had access to gun?
Right.
Could he have done what he did? But we live in a country where, gun is a Second Amendment right. Anybody can get up any day, anytime, any minute. go get a gun, drive thousands of miles away, and go do some, dumb stuff. And
Yeah.
that's just what it is. So I don't think it has to do with immigrant or not immigrant. The fact that when you look at his background, there was a lot of red flags, and no one caught it. No one actually came to his aid. You know what I mean? And I said, you and I have talked about, the things that veterans in this country go through.
Yeah, yeah. So to your point about people seeking help, and even if they are red flags, this is somebody who was who worked with not just like regular military. He was like a CIA operative, so
Hmm.
somebody that was well vetted before he can even be approached. And like you said, he was exposed and he saw a lot of things that nobody no normal person have to see. But once people get home, like we said here a few weeks ago, we need to like get that help for them, because like they've been saying in the news, yeah, there were red flags, there were signs that went unnoticed or ignored, because they say he used to lock himself in like a dark room, he just isolated himself and things like that. So those are red flags. And uh to the point about having access to guns, this is why sometimes people would bring these proposals up about having like reform uh, gun laws, so that if there's somebody that is having mental issues, I mean, it's not written on their face like, oh yeah, this person has mental issues, but you do that intensive background check so that you can be able to prevent this person from accessing weapons. Because like you said, we always say here, like the guns in this country is so many. Like on what's it, Thanksgiving Day in California,
Hmm.
like the party where four people lost their lives, and I think up to 16 were injured, and those were kids. I think it was an 8-year old, 9-year old, 14,
Yeah,
and either
yeah,
20 or 21-year old.
yeah,
And to your point, if the person that did the shooting, which they have nobody in custody, they don't have any leads or anything like that. If it was a knife or something, one thing that those many people would have gotten
yeah.
killed or hurt,
Hmm.
because yeah, with the guns, you can just do so much damage in such a little time.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, as I said, it's a normal thing, right? We don't want to kind of adorn the whole country,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
it's a
yeah,
normal thing. Even Minneapolis, yes. I mean, St. Paul yesterday, last night, four people got shot here, all over in this country, and you only hear these things on local news.
of
But
course.
it's
Just
like
such a normal thing.
we are a society that have become so numb to these things that it's just part
Mhm.
of life, right? It's just part of life. I was telling a friend the other day, we all just pray that you never get caught up in a situation where in like some lunatic is going to take out a gun and shoot, right? But it's a normal part of life in this country and it happens everywhere, every day, nonstop. Obviously, it's like, yeah, we have become so numb to it as a society. So it has become so normalized, it doesn't even make national news anymore. It's sometimes how they make the local news, right?
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
everyone expects shooting to happen, gun
yeah.
violence. It's just a normal part of life. It only become nationalized when maybe it become a mass shooting or
Yeah,
so.
or
But
it's a celebrity or somebody of high
exactly. Yeah,
value.
exactly. So that's just a normal part of life. And the other stuff you brought up on there, um, about it's like after the shooting, like he said, the president says like he's stopping immigration from all third world countries. He said, whoa, I mean, it's like that's half of the world. That's half of the world, right? Half of the world is labeled
Yep.
that way. There is like, I mean, it's like, folks that won't be here today, right? Hey, I'm a proud Republican, but folks that won't be here today,
Yeah.
if back in those days, they would say, hey, folks from third world countries are not allowed in this country, right? It's like so, so no matter your political leaning, no matter which side of the aisle you're on, some of the things just say, wow, as an immigrant, man, it's like, what I mean, which times are we entering in, right? As I said, I've been a lifelong Republican since I entered this country. It seems like, and the party has been a party of immigrants. Somehow, I don't know what changed. Right? It's like I'm sitting here, it's like for big, you know what I mean? Watching so much that we have become the villains. We have become it's like every little thing is like, oh yeah, it's like immigrants this, immigrants that. It's just that negative energy, man. It's
Yep.
as you
That
said,
negative
right? It's like
image. Yep.
and as we get into the topic about resilience, no matter your status, no matter even the kids who are born in here, we're not hearing anything because they are born to immigrant parents.
Mhm.
You know, it's like how can they make of the kind of environment we are living in right now?
Yeah, so to your point about the Republican Party being the party of immigrants and then things change, but especially this second term, due to the demonization of like immigrants, and it doesn't
Mhm.
matter, like you said, it doesn't matter your status or what part of the world you come from. If something negative happens and immigrant is involved, then it just like generalize it to all of the population. Like, yeah, all immigrants are like this, like that. And for the president, he usually uh, he's so impulsive that when something happens and he hears about it or sees it, he just like throws things out there. So instead of having like an actual standard policy for vetting people, because even with the Somalian immigrants that we're talking about tonight, it's not they're not all of them. But it's like, yeah, they are stealing from from the state, from the now Minnesota is a great state, from the great state of Minnesota. They're stealing from there and supporting Al Shabaab and whatever those other groups are and things like that. But it's not everybody. So we just need to go back to the drawing board and say, okay, well, there's always going to be these spots of people who have been either radicalized or they have a different way of thinking, but it's not everybody. And it doesn't matter if you're an immigrant or you are a natural citizen or you were born here. It doesn't matter. There will always be those type of people among us.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Well, folks, tonight's topic is what has 2025 taught us about resilience so far, right? There's a lot of, been happening around immigration, hacking immigration crackdowns, deportations, mass deportations, immigration raids all over, in almost every city. You never know which city is coming up next. Charlotte just came off the radar. Now Minneapolis is on the radar. So that's the topic tonight. You can contribute by putting the comment in the chat or calling our number 952-594-5154. And man, subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Facebook, Apple Podcast, Spotify, X, wherever you got your podcast or Instagram, wherever, man, we are all over. So Peterson, remember one of the things, right, is like as we have been, as a segue to this, into this topic, right, is like just as an immigrant, man, how are you supposed to feel like in 2025? Because as I said, I am, I've always say I wear down my sleeves, you know what I mean? For me, I consider myself a compassionate conservative Republican. As I, because I'm in it, right? Because number one, I don't like, I've said it many times on this platform, I don't like to pay taxes. I feel like, I love the entrepreneur spirit and things like that. And, it used to be a part of compassion, like it's like welcome, it's a huge thing, welcome everybody. But in 2025, like when every time you turn on the news or you open social media, there's something about immigrants this, immigrants that, immigrants that. How as an immigrant, how are we supposed to feel in this kind of environment? And no matter your status, honestly, to me, it's no matter your status or no matter where you're from. Even the Western European, right? It's like no matter where you're from, so immigrant, when you hear this, because give or take, we all have an accent. So long you're not born in this country, British, you're wow, whoever, right? So long you're not born in the country, one way or another, we all have an accent. How are we supposed to feel in this moment in 2025?
Yeah, I think the intention was to get us to have that fear, to live in fear, because there's no other reason than to just stir up fear among like people. So I saw the commercial. I think it was either on Thanksgiving or around the Thanksgiving time with
Hmm.
Secretary of Homeland Security Christian. No, I
Yeah,
was watching
Christian.
TV and I think I was watching either one of the football games, and this is the first time I've ever seen the commercial, but I haven't seen it since then. But it just popped up. It's like, oh, and then they're showing like these they're showing planes like Air Force planes, and she's like, this is your destination. If you come into the U.S. Illegally, this is how you're going to be escorted or deported back into your country. But what you can do is download the Border Patrol app. I don't know what it's called. It's like CBP or something like that. And then self deport, and we're gonna give you some financial incentives if you self deport. Other than that, this is how you're going to see yourself going. And I'm like, wow. Imagine Thanksgiving Day is like the biggest day. People are crowded around the TV watching different football games, and then this type of commercial comes on, and everybody's going to be in fear. Now you're going to be thinking like, oh man, forget this game. What if I'm one of those? Because she did mention, yes, we are cracking down, and we will find you, and you will live in handcuffs and stuff like that. So is a tactic to just put fear in people, but at the same time we are all humans, and even if you don't have that fear, it doesn't matter your status, if you're a citizen or not, because when it first started, we said, okay, well, it's going to be uh, non-citizens who have committed crime, and then when the crackdowns intensify, we start hearing of people who are citizens who have no criminal record, getting like picked off the streets. So now you're like, oh, this is getting closer to home, because first we're like, oh, okay, we are all citizens, we naturalize, so we don't have anything to fear. But then when the crackdowns intensify, like I said, then it hits close to home, because you're like, hey, well, what if that's me? So it's just meant to have that fear, but at the same time, even though we have that fear factor, but we still such a resilient group. And like I said, it doesn't matter where you come from. It's almost like the same thing every day. Let's just keep moving. Life keeps going on.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's like you brought up a point where you like, even like sometimes it's just the innocent, right? Look, we are all in favor. If someone commit a crime, violent crime, they are rapists, they are, a gangbanger, they commit, what terrible crimes, and I mean, they should be deported. We all support that, right? It's like, but I would tell you, 95 or 99% of immigrants are good people, right? They are only here who come here to make a living, to live a good life. Do people make mistakes? Yes. Do people, especially sometimes, like, growing up when coming in this country first is tough, right? Assimilation can be tough for
Hmm.
so many people. I mean, like that Afghan lunatic that killed those two beautiful, that shot those two beautiful National Guard folks, right? It's like, one of the things, right? It was hard for him to assimilate.
Hmm.
No one could understand him. Assimilation is hard. Coming from a different country, from a different culture, to assimilate is hard. So, but most of us come here just to seek a better life, not to come here and harm anything or do stuff. I mean, some of the few Somalians that are committing fraud, they should be prosecuted, right? I mean, to the
Right.
full extent of the law. But not every one of them to me are involved in that kind of a behavior. Obviously, fraud is never good. I mean, there should be some, a system in place, to find folks that are, committing fraud and things like that. And those folks that did it, should face the consequences of the law. But as you said, right, not to stereotype everyone, not to kind of go after everyone, because man, there was a story that I came across. It just came kind of a phone. I think a father or mother, one of those things. I'm forgetting the gender. Been here 50 years. Got to put it to her country, never been. 50 years. Imagine 50 years live in this country. Your whole life is here. Okay, a country you have never visited. Pretty much, some folks come here. Some immigrants come here, they like to go back and forth, travel back and forth. But some, especially sometimes, back in the day when folks came here, it was difficult to get started. They
Hmm.
were just here working, living their normal life, have all their family here, and then someone lived their entire life, pretty much their entire life, and get deported to a country they have never, ever been to. So I mean, even Joe Rogan, right? I mean, Joe Rogan thing was like, it becomes like, God, this not only that, this is becoming serious, right? I thought maybe they was never going to, come close to me. But when you see your neighbor, getting picked up, when you see maybe your lawnmower, or your cleaner getting picked up, it's coming, oh, wow. But I thought they said they were only coming after gangbangers, right? The rapists, the gangsters and stuff like that. But it's like there's no discrimination, right? They are selling it as they are coming, the hardcore criminals. But a
Hmm.
lot of folks are getting picked up in these situations. Like you wonder, okay, what is the intent here? What is the end goal? And at the end of the day, it's like it's creating a psychological tension, right? Mental health wise, in so many respects. But like in a lot of Latino communities now, I mean, in your Chicago area, that you can attest to it. Parents are not sending their kids to school. Latino businesses are suffering, right? Folks are not are not going to Latino establishment to shop. They are
Mhm.
staying home, right?
Yeah.
Because who
Mhm.
knows when art is going to show up,
Yeah.
and things like that. So it's just the fear, and how, and it has been like that the entire 2025, So it's like, but despite all of this, immigrants continue to what? To move on,
Yep.
continue, folks continue to do their work. So it's that resiliency, internet. I mean, and that's and that's kind of what it is. I mean, to me, that's the immigrant spirit, no matter what, because through assimilation, you're trying to get adjusted to this society, you got to be resilient. And then now in this current environment, it is even more needed than ever.
Yeah, so that just shows the character of immigrants, because it doesn't matter where you come from to get to this country, you have to
Mhm.
go through something. I mean, uh, those who immigrate to the US, whether it's through asylum, through temporary status, through any type of means, there's something that made you to leave your country to come here. And
Mhm.
going through all of that struggle, this is why the immigrant community, we are such a resilient group, because everybody have gone through something. They've gone through some type of struggle to come here. But then, like the person you were speaking of that live here basically their whole life, and now they get to be deported to a place that, yeah, is maybe their country of birth or origin, but that's not where the person is from. So the person have lived here, they make their life here, they have families and everything, and it's so traumatizing now to see in the news people getting families getting separated, because if they pick up a parent, mom or the dad, and now the children, if they have a older teenager, now that person is going to assume the responsibility to care for the little ones, and it's just a lot of stress on people. But this whole year it's just been like one of those where we're going from one one normal thing to the next. But like you said, things still move on. But to your other point, here in the Chicago area, when school opened, there were a lot of immigrant parents who were asking the school districts, like, I'm fearing to send my child to school. What do I do about that? And some of the schools will assure parents, like, okay, well, we assure you that ICE is not going to come into our building to get you or your child, but that's that's kind of tricky, because they don't have to go to the school building. They could wait for you on your routes while you're dropping your kids off at school and things like that. But yeah, it's just been really chaotic and traumatic this year.
And sometimes, I mean, some of it, right? I think as this thing drags on, right? They don't even need uh permission anymore, right? These things, places that used to be sacred. I mean, like they raided a job site in St. Paul about 2 weeks ago. What I heard something like they never had any warrant, but they went there and arrested up to 8 people, right? And stuff like some of them, been here in this country for a long time. Apparently, what I hear, some of them never had any criminal record. I mean, obviously, I don't know the facts behind that, but it just it's like they can go to job site, they can go places, and who's there to stop them, right? It's like you can only, and the thing is that we also have to be careful not to create unnecessary tension, because impeding federal law enforcement is a crime. So no matter where they go, whether they have warrant or not, we have to sometimes, they have to let them in and do what they have to do, right? But it's just been like emotional reality, right? It's like the emotion has been so high in so many communities, in so many immigrant communities, and I know on many times on this platform, you talk about hope. So this is your of hope. How can we be hopeful and courageous despite all of this? Despite that, because I said, man, it's like it seems like you could be in a wrong situation at the wrong time, and then you get caught up before you go. You find yourself in a detention facility. No matter who you are,
Hmm.
in the midst of all of these fears, all of these uncertainty, how can we be hopeful and courageous?
Yeah. So I was reading over the weekend about I think the Supreme Court or a court uh, heading or holding up the because some people were filing lawsuits like, hey, if these some of these immigrants are being held and we don't know if they have a criminal record or anything like that, let them out on bail so they can be able to fight their case
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
prove their worth. And then the court's like, no, we're gonna keep them in there like until they determine whether the person is going to get deported or not. So it's like uh, sometimes we look for hope, because in that case it will be like, okay, well, we hope the courts will do the right thing to overturn this law. But when it seems like everywhere you turn, hope has been like hope is gone, then where do you turn for hope after that? So but like I've always been saying, this is the year of hope, because even though all of that is going on, like despite everything else that's happening, the immigrant population and the contribution to the economy is still growing and is hugely impacted by immigrants. Because if you remove all immigrants from this country, everything's going to crumble.
Yeah.
Everything's break down. So, with the economy still standing, is because of the resilience of all the immigrants that are continuing to work.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely. That's a great point, right? That's a great point. Well, folks, tonight we had this discussing what has 2025 taught immigrants about resilience so far, right? It's been a year of negative news cycle about immigrants, immigration raids, mass deportations, national guards coming into cities to help ICE, arrest folks, ICE cracking down in various cities, Chicago, Charlotte, Los Angeles, Portland. Now Minneapolis is in the news. We're hearing from there, New Orleans. Like it's all over, right? No city is off limit. So tonight, that's our topic on the discussion. You can obviously put a comment in the chat. How are you feeling as an immigrant? How are you feeling? Are you just saying, oh no, is there people thing? You know how we do it? Is it is there a thing, or you're not even paying attention, you don't even know what's going on. It is important. That's what we are discussing here tonight, because as I said, you never know. I mean, I can tell you in 1 million, I don't think the Somalian ever knew that they could be targeted, right? They could be, they could become a target group where in the president specifically talking about them, he said that he doesn't want them here. So it could be anybody, it could be any immigrant population. Like, I mean, the folks from Afghanistan. That dude did that thing. Everyone from Afghanistan became a target. You know what I mean? So you never know. So it's like it could be any immigrant group. It could be any immigrant group. You know what I mean? Doesn't matter where you're from. So that's what we are discussing it tonight. How are you feeling, right? How are you feeling about 2025? As an immigrant. Is that because every time you read the news, there's something about immigrants, there's something about mass deportation. This person. I mean, some of these stories are so sad, man, Peterson. Some of these stories, as I say, about that 50-year-old, I think father that have been here, someone that father has been here for 50 years. It's like it's so sad, and things like that. But then the other thing too, when you really look at it, right, is feel that this 2025, like all immigrants, to me, I don't limit it to any specific group, either to our Latino brothers and sisters, or now the Somalians or whoever. It feel like all immigrants are being watched, they are being judged, or they are being targeted. That's how it seems. It's like that's how it seems to me, right? Because I mean, it might seem like I said, right, when everyone, and even during the 2024 election cycle, right, I think the reason why people voted the way they voted was everybody thought, what, you're all gonna it was gonna be about the economy, right? Because there was high inflation, people wanted jobs. So whether you're an immigrant, whoever, right, so long you believe, that the current administration was going to create jobs, the economy was going to be good, that's all you care about. You never thought about, this environment we're living right now, where in like everything about immigrants are negative. You thought, oh man, it's only going to be about the rapists, about the gangsters, about the hardcore criminals. You never expected that, right? It's like, but now as an immigrant, everyone feels targeted. You feel watched, you feel George. You go somewhere, maybe they're looking over your shoulder. They say, you know what I mean, and stuff like that. It's like, it's just that's how it is. Like.
Yeah, that's that's our normal for this year. And although we're saying like what have 2025 taught immigrants about resilience, but a broader question too would be was like policies elections taught the general population for this 2025, because to the point you were making during the campaign and the election season, it was all about, yes, we're going to get rid of all these hardcore criminals that are in the system. They are sitting in jails and they're being fed by taxpayer dollars, so we're going to get them out of the system. And then we're going to revitalize the economy. We'll create all these jobs. Prices will go down. You're paying $8 for eggs now. By the time the day after inauguration, it's going to go down to $2 and so forth, and gas prices and things. But it's one of those where all of the promises, none of it have have come through, because if the whole thing was to get criminals out of the system. Yes, we understand. Like you said, it doesn't matter where you come from, if you're an immigrant or not. If you commit a crime, yes, you should be like, you should face the full weight of the law. You should be prosecuted, and if you're an immigrant, if that means being removed from the country, yes, we're in support of that. But not to go after every single person and just target everybody. And is back to that point of just stirring up fear, because if I see my neighbor who's been uh, living by me for years, and although I'm not a detective, but I know that person does not have a criminal background or a criminal history. If they made some mistake as a teenager or something years ago, but then now they get picked up, and I'm an immigrant, I'm going to have that same like fear, like, oh, I might be next. Like, even if I've done nothing, now you're just going to have to live in that fear and look over your shoulder all the time.
Definitely, definitely, right. As you said, right. Maybe that's what is it's meant to do. But again, we gotta be resilient. We gotta, your favorite word, right? We gotta be hopeful. We definitely gotta be hopeful. We gotta be resilient, right? Because I think this moment shall pass. I obviously think, but obviously, right, before it passes, before 2025 passes, everything that's been going on. We have to, be real with ourselves, right? Because you have families now, right? I mean, people rethinking travel, a lot of immigrants and say, you know what, I'm not even going to, like, folks, like December is one of the times a lot of immigrants try to go back home, right? Like, you have green card holders maybe going back home for vacations, even, citizens going back home to their home country for vacations, going relax. But a lot of people are rethinking travel, right? They say, you know what, I'm not even going to bother. I'm not even going to bother to do that. Okay, because there is not the year. There is not the year that, I mean, that you have to do that, right? That I need to do that. And then the other thing too, right? You got folks, who are even, to a point about, the deportation. So I mean, to your point about the self deportation. Even these folks, they are, arresting and keeping them in detention, right? Where they cannot prove whether they have criminal record or not, or they know very well they don't have criminal record, but they're still keeping them there. Sometimes about creating a situation where, it's so uncomfortable for you. Say, you know what, man, I'm just gonna, just deport me, right? Just
Hmm.
get rid of me because I can't stay in an environment where, it's so uncomfortable and things like that. There's no way that I can, my human dignity, is being taken away from me. So you know what? Just take me back, wherever you feel home is for me, right? Because I feel that it's home, but now you think, that it's not, right? Just take me back. And those are some of the things. And a lot of innocent people could get caught up in such a situation because you never know. You're sitting there, your lawyer is probably trying to fight, but meanwhile, it's like psychologically or mentally, you're going through hell. So you just say, you know what? Forget it. Just take me back.
Yeah, it takes that mental toll on people, because, like you said, if you are being either harassed, or you feel like you are being harassed all the time, either that's the same thing that happens even if it's just like local, maybe police. They keep like either profiling a single person, or you feel like they are targeting you. You get pulled over today, and then tomorrow, like a block away, you get pulled over by either another person from the same jurisdiction. You're gonna feel like, okay, why am I being targeted or treated this way? You might feel like, okay, well, I have to move out of this area. I have to go somewhere else. So, but for those who are being held, they don't have that option of saying, oh, okay, I I'll just move. No, you say, well, if this is what it is, then just like take me wherever you're gonna take me to. And but a lot of people who go through that, this speaks to the resilience piece of the immigrants that we are talking about, because they go through a lot. So some of them come here even through the process of being documented. It's still a process that you don't know if you're going to be denied, if your application is going to be approved. So there's that anxiety piece already in there. But then they go through it. Some people, they go through year after year after year being denied, and then finally approved. So we have that character built in us to just keep going. It doesn't matter what today's denial might be tomorrow's approval. So that's why a lot of immigrants, even though there's a lot of fear around being an immigrant right now, this is one reason why people keep forging ahead.
Yeah. Folks, tonight we are discussing about what has 2025 taught us about resilience as immigrants, or as an immigrant as a whole, right? What has 2025 taught us? Many of us, many people never thought that we could be living in such an environment where, like, as I said, everything about immigrants is negative. Everything, it seems to be negative, and stuff like that. So what's your thought? Let us know. You can put a comment in the chat. But and as you listen to this, so the reason why we brought this, well, many of us say, oh, that life, maybe things are just normal. But honestly, things are not normal. You know what I mean? No matter your political leaning, things are not normal. And many of us just go about our daily lives. But you never know, right? So we have to become informed. As I said, many communities start like places like Charlotte, when ICE announced or DHS announced that they were coming to Charlotte, a lot of the immigrant population there was shocked, and especially Latino. Charlotte has a huge Latino population. A lot of them were like, it created a lot of fear. So it's like, I know most of us around this country, and that's why we are bringing this topic on tonight, right? It's like most of us living here is, oh, this is not about, it's not going to affect me, it's not, doesn't buy, that's not me, it's not going to affect me. Like, we got to be informed about these things. We got to stay informed. We got to, be aware that this thing is going on. And to your point earlier, right, before I get to my next, angle here, right? To your point earlier, election have consequences. Some of the things we need to learn from 2025 is, hey, man, when you are voting, know who you are voting for, or sometimes don't just follow one piece of the policy where, you feel might be good for you, right? I
Yeah.
think you look at it holistically. And so immigrant population, I think, maybe one of the lessons we should take from this, but we need to be civically engaged and politically active.
Mhm.
Other than that, it's like, I mean, because as one of my guests, like to say, if you don't mess with politics is going to mess with you. And that's what happening right now to us, right? Most of us never mess with politics. Hey, I don't care. But now it's messing with us. But the other angle I want to bring here, right? Like, what role does it, because like, even the media, I don't think the media is helping, because they just taking whatever angle that is being amplified right now, for lack of a better word, and the media is just running with it. And I feel no one is telling our story from the immigrant perspective, because it should be like, oh God, no, okay, yes, you say you're going after, or you'll go after all of these, gangbangers, the rapists, the hardcore criminals. But guess what though? 90% of immigrants are good people, telling that story, that human story, going about, like, there's a Wall Street Journal article about two brothers from Honduras, right? They are partners. These are immigrants. These stories should be told, in the media, but we live in an environment right now that is not even being, that's not the case at all. So what role does the media even has to play here? Or do we need to, is that become more active to start telling our own story, like become citizen journalists, right? Just, go out there, documenting, the immigrant experience, the immigrant life in this country.
Yeah. So the it's good that you brought up that point, because the media used to be like almost like another arm of, not the government per se, but like just out there giving out news. But with President Trump's first term and this second term, it's like the media have been caked to the curve. They don't. It's like they don't even exist because the only things you hear would be negative. And to your point, I was going to say right before you asked that question, which goes perfectly. Yesterday, I heard the word of the year because every year they like I don't know
Mm-hmm,
if they do
mm-hmm.
a survey. The word
Yeah.
of the year was rage bait. So rage bait is like putting online content
Mm.
that is its intention is to provoke people
Okay.
into anger and
Yeah.
outrage. So
Yes.
it's like seeing Chicago. Yes, Chicago and every big city has its problems, but
Mm-hmm.
Chicago is not in the top 10, like we said here before, for like violent crimes and this and that. But if you go online and you just put like, oh yeah, Chicago is a mess. Chicago is such like, yeah, we need to send maybe the Marines, not even National Guard. We need to send people into Chicago. We need to send federal agents. And then this is intended to cause people like to provoke something out of people like Chicago is not that bad. Why you keep like putting Chicago in the news? Why you keep putting Chicago in the news? And then even with what's happening today with the Somalian immigrant population, if uh, a handful of people committed fraud, which is a crime and they should be prosecuted for it. But then you amplify the whole thing and you just say, you know what? We don't want like Somalians out of, we don't want them in this country. We don't want them out because they are all stealing from from the country. So that is meant to provoke something out of people because the rest of the Somalian population will be like, I've never done that. I don't commit fraud, and so it's going to cause that outrage. And like what you just said before about Charlotte, when they announced like, yeah, they're coming to Charlotte, the Latino population in Charlotte, they were shocked. Like, wait, Charlotte, what are they coming out here? So these things are meant to like provoke anger and outrage. And now we live in the age of AI, so they can take something and duplicate it and amplify it even to a bigger level so that it seems like yeah, this is what's happening everywhere. So like for example, all the time they were here in Chicago, I don't know how many raids happened or how many people were arrested, but even the first weekend, it's like maybe two or three people. But if you go online from the government's point, it would seem like yeah, they've gathered hundreds or thousands of people that they are catching every day due to the immigration rate. So these things are meant to just lure people and also to get people to provoke that anger out of people. But yeah, is that's exactly what's been going on this year.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad that you mentioned the word of the year, right? Rage bait. I know we did a segment here where in like seems like everyone seems to be
So
so angry,
angry,
right? So that's what
so
it is.
easily
It's like
triggered.
so
Yep,
when you're angry and you see a terrible thing online,
yep.
guess what that's going to do? It's going
It's
to
gonna
trigger you.
trigger you.
It's
Yep.
going to trigger you, and that's the kind of environment we live right now, where everyone seems to be so angry. You wonder, okay, what? What is the anger about, right? It's like, we did that here, right? And so that's a perfect word. It defines 2025 perfectly because there's so much anger. And sometimes I
Yep.
say to myself, so, but why the anger? Why? It's like, why people are angry towards each other? Is like, why people are going at it? And so, to your point, like, I'm not, a huge social media, consumer, right? It's like, I go on there when I need to do X, Y, and Z, but I came across a comment to your point right there, right? Perfect. Where in like, this probably she's an influencer or whoever she is, right? It's like, so, oh, Minnesota has been taken over by, immigrants, the native population, the native are getting eaten by their, native, are being driven away. Mind you, you're talking about a state that is 95%, 96%, 97%, or up to 98% Caucasian.
Yeah.
Okay. And then, you read that. Now imagine, no, right? It's like, what's that going to do? Maybe someone living in a small town in Minnesota, right? It's like, oh, yeah, maybe that's what happening in Minneapolis, right? It used to be, but now I know it's like, I'm here. I live in a small town, 100 people. Now I know, like, my entire state is being taken over. It's like, it's that kind of a rich bit. It's like you put such a stuff out without even thinking, God, what is this gonna do? Right? It's like, so what is your intent? It just and perfectly right. It describes it right there. It's about that rich bit where someone will pick it up and say, "Oh yeah, that's it," and amplify it, and then I mean, with these algorithms, right? These social media companies, it's just gonna
Oh
keep pushing it. It's just gonna be pushing it, and people are consuming that. Thinking that, oh yeah, it's I mean, that's the kind of thing we need to push. And man, even like in all honesty, right? It's like I've whatever the president, but sometimes he amplifies certain things. He say, dude, it doesn't even need to be. It's not that serious, though, right? We shouldn't be talking about everyone, no matter who you are, right? You only care about your bread and butter issue. You just want to pay your bill, raise your family. Some of the things we're talking about, it's not necessary. But I think the word of the year, the rich bit, perfect 525, man, no doubt.
yeah. So this is when I heard that, I'm like, oh, that's. I was thinking hopeful or hope, but yeah, that's that is
There's
a
nothing, as you
perfect
said,
word
there's
for
nothing hope. There's nothing seems to. We are hopeful, but
it.
there's nothing. That nothing seems to be hopeful, right? Because
Yeah, I
everyone is going
mean,
through a rage.
yeah. If
Everyone's
you're going
going through
through
that
that
rage.
rage
You-
and you are
and
being
then what they are
easily
doing,
triggered,
right? They just keep throwing up bid, and will keep. They just keep throwing up bid, and will keep falling for it. And so everyone's going through that rage. Now, as I said, right, it is our, it's just some audience, and our whole community right now is on edge,
yeah,
right? Because in few days, right, the New York Times is reporting that ICE agents are going to be here specifically in the Somali community. I mean, imagine that's just like right now the entire community is on edge. Who knows who's going to be swept up in those kind of operations? Who knows, right? What tension is going to create, and stuff like that. So man, that war is, I think, whoever, the folks that got together and made up that the word of the year, I think they did it perfectly because we are all going to rage, and then they are just throwing us bit from the top down.
from
You
the
know,
top.
they are just throwing us bit left and right.
Yeah, that's perfect too. And then to go back to the point about the media, like where is the media in all of this? The media have been so like diminished that because, like I said before, the media used to bring out anything. It was the media that had a hand to play in like the whole Watergate thing
Mhm.
years back, but now it's like they are this unwanted child that nobody wants to mess with because um, if I keep screaming like fire, 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 and there's no fire, but I keep screaming that if somebody like see any like type of cloud, they might think like, oh yeah, there's smoke, so there's fire over there. Because if the president keeps saying, oh, everything is fake news, everybody, it doesn't matter which network, it's fake news, fake news, fake news, except for the ones that he's friendly with, but fake news, fake news, fake news. So now it's going to draw people back from like even those diehard listeners or people who consume like certain platforms. They will be like, well, yeah, I'm not so sure if that was fake news or not, so I'm just not gonna tune in. And the media have been like basically handcuffed where they cannot like tell certain stories and the truths now, so people start to doubt whatever they are saying, if it's authentic or if it's real, if it's true. And like I said, with the AI age that we live in now, somebody might post something out and it will appear like the person, sound like the person, and everything like that. So now we don't know what to believe. This is what the media, their presence have been like, is so low key now. They don't have a huge part to play in our society.
So should we then, as immigrants, start telling our own stories, consider our own narrative, right? Like we're doing here on the Inner Circle podcast, day in and day out, right? Should we start here, man? It's like there are a lot of positive things happening out there. There are a lot of great things happening out there. Even yesterday, right? Like Miss B highlighted, right now here in the immigrant community here in Minnesota, a lot of entertainment venues, right, that are being created by immigrants, creating jobs, creating entertainment options for for the resident of this state, whether immigrant or not, right? If you love good music, good food, different kinds of food, or and music and entertainment. You have a vibrant community. So is it time that we are immigrants start like immigrants are just becoming citizens, because that's the new, I think that's the new environment we live in, right? It's like obviously, here at the Inner Circle podcast, these are environment like if the national news like the Fox, the CNN, the ABC, the NBC are really just going along with this whole negative thing. Is it time that we really need to step up and say, man, it's like it seems that we are under attack. No matter no matter where you're from, no matter what type of immigrant you are, is that we all need to kind of get together and start telling our own stories, right? It's like inviting immigrant elected officials, right, to speak to our community, immigrant entrepreneurs to speak to our community, highlighting the positive like we always do here on the Inner Circle platform, right? It's like bringing folks to start telling our stories. Because other than that, no one's going to tell our stories, right? You hear even like immigrant politicians are kind of being afraid because they feel they might get targeted. Well, I don't think there's a year that I think there is the time that they really, really these folks that are in power or position of power needs to be like really, really resilient, right? To
Mhm.
speak to the community. So is it time that we really start taking the initiative to one of our own narrative? Other than that, no one's going to do it for us.
Yeah, that is a perfect point because, like we do here on the Inner Circle podcast, this is uh, almost like a community based thing where we're talking about what's happening in the community. We take the positive things in the community and we try to amplify it to a bigger level so people can be able to hear it. Because, like you said, if you listen to just national news for information, you're not going to to hear anything positive, especially something that impacts your community or where you live. You're not going to hear anything positive because everybody's living in fear. And some of the elected officials or those who are in leadership roles in politics, personally, I think a lot of them are taking like the cowardly road, wherein they they have this opposing agenda or policy, but because they have the fear that they will be targeted, they don't want to speak up. So then that gap is there, and it's left up to us to actually fill that gap and inform our people, elevate and amplify the positive things that is happening in the community. Because the way things stand right now, it seems like it doesn't matter where you come from as an immigrant. Every immigrant community and population is they should have that fear and to be under attack because, like I said, when it started in the year, and most of the year is been mostly the Latino Hispanic population that's been targeted, but that's not to say, oh, okay, well, since I'm from Africa or I'm from those who are from Afghanistan, I'm sure up until last week they didn't they had nothing to feel like, oh, okay, well, yeah, we are far removed from that. And then the Somalians, nobody thought of that. So we all have to come together and amplify the positive things that are happening within the community because the minority feel, we always say like the noisy minority, because the negative things that are happening, we're not denying that those negative things are happening, but it's such a small number compared to the majority that are living and contributing to this country.
That's a perfect example right there. Right? You have thousands, I would say even millions of maybe Afghans, of nationals in this country, right? Afghan immigrants in this country. But one of them do something is like the entire community is being, blamed for that, right? The entire community is coming under scrutiny because number one, right? Let's assume if we're highlighting stories of Afghans doing positive things in their various communities, right? These things and stuff like that. Don't get me wrong, right? These Somalians are communities fraud. They should be dealt with to the full extent of the law. I'm sure that a lot of Somalians contributing great things to their various communities, to their various societies and things like that. But no one, to me, is like the national media is not highlighting that. No one is highlighting that to bring it mainstream. And we have so many avenues these days, right? Whether you like social media or not, I think one of the great beauty of social media gives you opportunity. That's what we are benefiting from here in our Cycle podcast, right? Give you the opportunity to what? To tell your own story. And then one of the things we're gonna do is like, even like take it on the road, right? Is like start going in these rural communities, right? Is like interacting with folks. A lot of folks that making great contribution to the society. But it feel like, to your point, the noisy minority is all we hear, right? Someone going on social media is bitching at someone they shouldn't be doing that. We say, okay, what's going on there, right? It's like nothing positive is coming out of that situation. So it's like I think we need to definitely. I do agree with you. We need to step up more to start telling our own story. Start running. Is that because other than that, man, it's just gonna be, oh God, immigrants. Like the other thing I read, I was so disappointed, to be honest with you, is that, oh gosh, like immigrants have been a burden on the society. I said, what? Really? If you look at, I mean, it's like both, I work with some good business leaders who are immigrants, just like me, VP, CFO, CEOs, right? It's like, and then all we hear, but now these folks, their voice right now, it seems like their voice are silent because no one there to bring them on, right? To give them the opportunity to tell their story. How did you, as an immigrant, come here, assimilate, and get yourself to where you are today? The struggles you went through. Because being born here and raised here is different than when you come here, you have to assimilate. You have
Yep.
to, even folks from Great Britain that speaks where in the English language was invented, they come here, they have to assimilate. They have to assimilate. They have to get used to the society. It's a whole different society. But no one is kind of going through that. God, everything we went through to get to where we are. Right. It's all about, oh God, the rapists, the murderers, the fraudsters and all those stuff, man. So I think I definitely agree with you. We need to maybe take over the new media landscape and start telling our own stories.
Yeah, we we definitely need to do that, and we have started, and we need to just continue to do what we're doing. Um, like somebody told me, I think it was my nephew who told me last week. He's like, "Have you heard about the Red Lobster CEO?" I'm like, "No, I've never heard about him." He's like, he's 36. He's like the youngest, um, the youngest CEO
CEO, yeah,
in almost
in
in the
corporate
country,
America. Yeah, I mean in corporate
in
America.
corporate America, a
Okay.
Nigerian kid that came here at a young age. So people who are in leadership, like what you just said about these leaders, executives like CFOs, CEOs, and so forth, they don't have people to bring them up and say, "Oh, wow, you mean we have like people like this in the immigrant community?" Because all we keep hearing from the national media is, "Oh yeah, this immigrant did this, they did this one," and so as a result, everybody that look and sound like that person, they are under attack. So we have these people within our community who uh, we need to bring up so that we can model after them and show like the general population, like, yeah, this is the type of contribution that the immigrants, and we're not all CEOs, we're not all CFOs, but at the same time we're not all out there committing crime.
Yeah.
So like we always say here, the majority of immigrants, it doesn't matter where you come from and what your status is, they come here for a better life, and they come here and they are contribute to this economy tremendously.
Yeah, definitely. I do agree with that, man. And that's our life mission here, right? To just, no matter how boring it is, no matter how many views we get, no matter, how viral we get, our life mission here is to highlight the positive. Because one day I think one day we'll break through, right? Is to bring folks that are making an impact in our community, right? Amplifying those voices, amplifying issues that are affecting our community. And that's our life mission here, And as we even wrap up 2025 and go into 2026, we're going to lean into that more, bringing in successful individuals that are making positive contribution to this community like that. Yeah, as I read about him in the Wall Street Journal, so if he's the youngest CEO in corporate America. I didn't even know he was from Nigeria. I saw he was black. I didn't go. I just saw the headline. The youngest CFO and CEO in corporate America. Talk about Red Lobster, and he's doing very well.
Yep.
I mean, and to think that these are stories, right? These are folks, their story should be amplified. Kimmy, as an immigrant, went through the system, did everything right. look where he is today, right? And things like that. So those are the kind of stories we need to be telling, man. But this is the 1 hour show. We shouldn't drag it on, man. It's been a resilient year for our immigrant brothers and sisters out there, no matter where you're from. 2025 has taught us, right? We just got to continue to be resilient. We shouldn't give up. We live in a rage-based society right now, but we shouldn't. But I would stick with my man Peterson. Well, we should continue to be hopeful. We should continue to be hopeful. But Peterson, as we wrap this thing up, man, what's your last word?
Yeah, thanks. This is a timely discussion and timely topic, but it's been a great conversation. Uh, I just want to say for the immigrant population or immigrant community, and once again, it doesn't matter where you come from, what part of the world, and what your status is. I know there's this fear around being an immigrant, having that title, because a lot of immigrants who uh, weren't born here, they will have like that accent, like you say. It doesn't matter if you come from Ireland or you come from anywhere, you will have that accent. So to target people with just basically accents or they look a certain way, uh, we have come to realize that we still are such a resilient group that despite everything that's happened this year, we are still moving forward. We are still contributing to the economy and contributing to our local communities and wherever we reside. But as you were saying, uh, in the coming year or future, to go and find more of these like successful immigrants, uh, we don't even have to search or look far because um, it doesn't matter what sector in of this economy or in this society, you will always find an immigrant that have excelled and is all the way to the top. But we don't have a platform like this to bring them on and amplify them so that we can be able to show the society, like, yeah, to your point about that line of immigrants being a burden on the society, and is is the other way around. We are contributors, and we are successful. We are very resilient group of people. So although this year has been traumatic and chaotic for a lot of people, uh, I will still go back to my word of being hopeful. We hope that the new year will bring new beginnings for a lot of people, so that a lot of what people endured this year is not going to continue, hopefully. So I just want to give the immigrant community their kudos, continue to be resilient, and continue to move forward.
That's a good one. That's a good one. I would say, and I will close by, in addition to that, let us stay informed, right? Be informed, stay informed, know what's going on around you. You never know, right? Any city, as I said, we talked when I was going to Chicago. My man Peterson and I used to joke here, Chicago, Chicago, right now, right? It's coming close to home in Minneapolis. Who knows what's going to happen? So stay informed, stay engaged, stay away from violence. If you decide to protest peacefully, right? Don't provoke anyone, because as the word of the year said, right? It's about rage bait, right? We are all in rage, and to throw that bait, some of these things is a bait. You
Yep.
throw it, you go commit crime, you get caught up there, and then guess what, right? I mean, your situation get serious or whatever, or you fall into bigger trouble. So don't do anything stupid, right? Stay away from trouble. Stay prepared, right? And the other thing, like, I think more than ever, we need to strengthen community connections as immigrant community, right? We need to have solidarity as immigrants, no matter where we're from, because as if 2025 has taught us anything, is that we are all in this together as a community.
Yep.
As immigrants, we are all in this together. Whether you're from Latin America, wherever you're from, we are all in this together. So let us continue to strengthen our community connections. And also, right, we need to continue to tell our stories loudly and confidently, like we do every evening on the Inner Circle podcast. So Thank you so much, Peterson, man. I know you're under the weather, but thank you so much for, contributing to this important information tonight for our community. And folks, thank you so much for tuning in. If you watch this, man, the message you get from here, right? Don't be afraid, right? Be resilient. As Peterson said, we are a resilient group. No matter what you're going through, we'll always come out on top. So thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you back here tomorrow, Miss B and I, for our business segment. But thank you so much, my man Peterson, man. Hope you feel well,
Yes, sir.
and hope you don't get buried under that Chicago snow. That's obvious, though, folks. You all have a good night.
Good night.
Sharing our truths, bringing hope to the light. Community strong.